Welcome to the Voices of the Goddess podcast. We believe that there is a goddess inside each and every one of us. When we use our voice to share that goddess, we support and uplift each other. Join us each week as we interview women to receive the message of their goddess within. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Voices of the Goddess podcast, where we empower, inspire, and uplift women to become the goddesses they are meant to be. I'm Julietta, the magical PT, coming to you live from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm a physical therapist. I am a Midwesterner, and I'm an artist, a podcaster, a jeweler. What else am I? I don't even know anymore because I'm really focused on being a traveler really soon.
You're so funny.
I know. Well, I'm a Sagittarius, and Sagittariuses are travelers. And so I really have the need to travel. And COVID has really put a damper on this. So I was supposed to go to Egypt November of 2020.
Yep.
And had to change that for November of 2021. So I am beyond excited to be going on this trip. And tell our audience, who are you?
I just need to add to that I completely understand, because even I just got back from Texas, and when I travel, I get very discombobulated before and after. Like, I got back in late last night. I'm still trying to pull my ish together right now. So
you know where you need to go? The airport in Milwaukee, Wisconsin has a recombobulation area. It's the only place in the world.
Why are they the only ones that have it? I don't understand.
So recombobulation isn't really a word, but it's a word that...
I realize that. Yeah.
What?
I said I realize that.
So, but literally, like, after you go through TSA, they have signs that say recombobulation area. It's super cool.
Maybe
but anyway,
can we like patent that and do that at airports? I don't know, something. Okay. Anyways, digress. My name is Allison Mancini. I'm excited to be here. I am a holistic nutritionist and in the process of getting my certification as a functional nutritionist. I'm also the human resources director for the Goal Digger Girl, amazing company that helps mostly women, whether they're in network marketing, wanting to be a coach, or all kinds of different businesses, just really help them to show up authentically on social media. And so I really help out the staff and the students with their wellness and just taking care of them and making sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted and all that good stuff, and support them in all that they're doing. I'm also a wife and a mother to 2 adult children, and to a really cute German short-haired pointer named Murphy. And
you froze. Oh, I'll give it a second.
Co-host of a podcast. Okay, there you are. Okay, so that's me in a nutshell. So what are we going to do today, Julietta, besides have our beautiful guest on?
Well, we're going to pull a card again. We pulled a card a little while back, and it was really fun, and got some interesting feedback. So I pulled out once again I'm so terrible at figuring out how to put things on the screen. And now with my green screen, it's making it funny. But these are my Goddess Guidance Oracle cards. And so we're asking the goddesses for a message to us and our viewers today. Oh, this is a good one. We have Cordelia, and her message is go outside. You have been indoors too long. Go outside and get some fresh air.
And that would be most of us are inside far too much, right?
Hey, I've been inside here since 1:00 today, recording these amazing podcasts. Should I read the message?
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole message?
Yeah.
Being cooped up is not the natural way for inhabitants of this exciting planet to live. Believe me, there's plenty to see and experience when you exit your 4 walls and roof. A daily venture outside will not only revive your spirit and soul, it will give you hope and faith in this planet's very existence and future. You'll see that all of the goodness that's in store within nature, the flowers ready to unfurl, the leaves that are sprouting, the birds that hop about, and even the wind that affectionately caresses you. Don't let another day go by without stepping outdoors into this most entertaining and exciting of environments.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And we do talk about that a lot because a lot of us are working, we're inside, it's one of those things where, I don't know, 100 years ago, most of us used to work out on a farm or in a field right. And so we're outside all the time. And I go from my house to my car to like the grocery store or occasionally a restaurant and then back to my car and into my house. So I purposely, during the day when I take breaks, it does help that I have a puppy that has to go outside often, but I go out and I put my feet in the grass and I look at the trees and I look at the beautiful sky and take some deep breaths. And it's really important. It's a great part.
I just got new cushions for my outdoor patio set because the old ones were kind of icky. After a while they get moldy and mildewy and but I was especially motivated because the temperatures have finally started to cool down here again. So I've been sitting out there and there is like a pack of 3 blue jays that are hanging out. Like, I didn't think that blue jays hung out together. I thought they were like solitaire kind of birds. So I need to do a little more investigation, or if there's anybody out there that knows about blue jays and why. The one thought I had today is maybe they're like young blue jays and they're like siblings and they still have, like, they're still hanging out together because they're kind of young and they want, but I don't know. I have no idea. And the other thing, a big old iguana. I've like never seen an iguana in my backyard. And there was a huge one in one of my palm trees this morning.
Yeah, because you're kind of, for being on the east side. Right. I was just saying, for being on the east side, you're kind of west, right?
There's and they like the, the waterways and stuff, but none of those waterways are like even within a block of me. Like, you have to go, I think, like at least a half mile, if not a mile, to get to any water from my house. So I don't know, but I have an iguana, I have 3 blue jays, and all kinds of there's peacocks in my street, but I haven't seen them in a couple weeks, I think. I don't know. They're hanging out on a different street or something. The rooster's cock-a-doodle-dooing which is hilarious to me. I live like blocks from downtown Fort Lauderdale, and there are roosters and chickens in my neighborhood. So there's lots of nature to be had.
Yep.
No matter where you are.
That's right.
Anyway, should we bring our guest on?
Yes, I think we should.
All right. Super excited to have Saskia joining us here live from the Dominican Republic. So we are once again international. Saskia, thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. And so I'm Saskia St, and I'm a transformational and leadership coach. And I'm also currently a program coach for a coaching company, hi Jess, called Accomplishment Coaching. And I moved to the Dominican Republic recently, as of 3 months ago. I also love to travel, Julieta. So I'm probably not going to be here for too long, but yeah, I love to explore, travel. And I'm also a published author. I actually published a book about a month ago now. It was a #1 bestseller on Amazon. It's called There's More to Me. And yeah, I'm into a lot of transformational and leadership work. And I think we'll continue to figure out more as we go along. But that's what I got for now.
That is great. Super cool. Super cool. Are you ready for our questions?
Let's go.
All right. Our first question is, what is your superpower?
Okay. So I've been asked that question lately a lot, and I'm always like, what is my superpower, right? I'm always looking for like the super magical thing that I have that like must be my superpower. And then today I was thinking a lot like, okay, like what do I think it is? What's the thing that people always say that they get from me, whether it's through my coaching sessions or friends? And I get a lot that like, I'm joyful and there's a lot of light, right? So I was like, oh, I'm like sunshine and human and like a human form. So I think my superpower is being a human sunshine.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And yes, you do bring light and you glow and your energy is amazing.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Our second question is, what is your favorite book or a book that has greatly influenced you?
I think there's two.
Everybody has like 2 or 3. So
yeah. No, but I think there's like 2 that are kind of similar, which is why I think they're like my top 2 for sure, which is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho and Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I think they're very similar in the sense of like going on a journey of self-discovery or on a journey to discover more or to look for something. Like in The Alchemist, you know, he's going to find this treasure only to find in the end, you know, that what he was seeking was like back home or within. And I think similarly to Liz Gilbert, like she goes on this whole journey, like to the 3 different countries, you know, she goes to Italy, India, and Bali, and like discovers herself throughout that process. And I think both of these books I love because it resonates a lot with my story of like when I started getting into transformational work and looking to find myself, rediscover and find out, you know, a lot of it was connecting within, connecting with my spirituality with God and like finding that anchor. So those 2 books, because like I think they have enough similarities and like also very different points of views that I think are so empowering.
I love that. And someone else in one of our earlier podcasts today brought up The Alchemist also. And one of the things that I really love about that book is that most of the books that I read now as an adult are all, you know, books for transformation and personal growth. And so they're all like nonfiction books. Yes. And so to have a book that has all this learning in it, but it's a story, it's a fictional story. Like I love that. And same thing with Eat, Pray, Love, although it's, you know, it's her story, it's her journey that, you know, so I guess it's more autobiographical, I guess you would say, but still it's a story that you can learn lessons from as opposed to just, you know, straight up lessons. We did just recently do in our book club. I knew she wrote Eat, Pray, Love, but then like, I didn't know she had other books. So we just did, what is it? Becoming Magic, right? Yeah.
Big Magic. Yeah. Big Magic.
Big Magic. Thank you. So that was fun to experience her on a different level. So if you haven't read Big Magic,
I haven't read it yet, but I've been thinking about it because a lot of people have said that they really like it. I know it's very different.
It's very different from Eat, Pray, Love, but it still has her energy, and it's a great great book. So
what was your biggest takeaway from it, you would say?
I mean,
mine is just do it. Like if you have an idea, don't let it get away from you and do it. That's my takeaway.
That is pretty much it. But like, I think a lot of times we have this thought that like there's creative people and it's been a little bit of my struggle in coming forward with, I didn't write a book, but I wrote a chapter in a best-selling book. I, create jewelry, I paint, I have a blog, like all these different things that I struggle with a little bit because I didn't necessarily consider myself like an artist.
Got it.
And I guess my big takeaway from that book is that we are all creative. We are all artists. We all have that inside of us. And that, we have to get it out. We have to let it out. And it doesn't matter if anybody else likes or appreciates it. But it's, it's a part of being human that we have to get our creativity out.
Yeah. So. Oh, I love that. Now I'm like, all right, that's my next book.
Enjoy it and let us know what you think.
Yes, I will. Thank you for the recommendation.
All right. Question number 3. Yeah. What is your favorite self-love practice?
That one. I think it's changed over the years because I think like my routine or my life has changed from like when I used to work a 9 to 5, right? So I think it's evolved along the years, but I think what I continue to practice is journaling. I always journal. Like no matter what's happening in my life, like it's my way of expressing myself, whether people are going to read it or not. Like a lot of it is just for me that I keep it, but making sure, because I'm someone that also has a lot of ideas and things in my brain. And if I don't put it on paper, I'm going to overthink everything or like overwhelm myself. So my way of like getting clarity or writing down ideas or finding pieces through journaling. So that's definitely my number one self-care practice.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude,
we're all about journaling here.
Yeah. Every morning. That's if there's one thing, like I have my time to myself in the morning. I love a quiet house in the morning before everyone, including the dog, is fully awake. And if I'm short on time for some reason, maybe, I just slept a little bit longer or I have a lot going on that day, journaling is the one thing that I do every day.
Yeah, same here.
I'm super excited. When I went to Egypt 4 years ago, I did not journal. And because I wasn't really journaling at that time, because it's something that like sometimes I'm all into it and then I take a break from a while. And, but that was my one thing. Like when I go back to Egypt, I have to journal because just like so much information came in, downloaded, and yes, for the most part, I remember it, but I'm sure there's so much that has gotten lost because I didn't write it down. So I have a special journal just for Egypt this time. And I was actually thinking, I haven't yet, but, and I might just do it on Saturday, but I don't know. So I leave on Sunday, but I want to journal at least once in the journal before the trip, kind of the prep journal. So
when's the trip?
Sunday.
I leave on Sunday.
That's exciting. For how long are you going to Egypt?
From the 14th through the 30th. So just a little over 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's also like the longest I've gone away in a very long time. So yeah, I'm excited.
A great vacation. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be, and I'm going with a group, and besides the fact that, the group leader is a friend of mine that I've known, I think for probably getting close to 15 years now. But they're like, a lot of the other people going along on this trip are spiritual leaders, healers. So it should be extra cool.
I'm really excited for Julietta, but I'm really not excited for me. I'm like, dang it, what am I gonna do? I can't text her.
You can text me. I just might not text back right away since we're in different time zones, but you can still text me. and watch for me on Facebook. When I have internet, I'll be uploading pictures and stuff like that. So.
Your significant other is going to be like, can she just stop texting already?
He'll be fine.
We're package deal. Sorry.
Anyway, we digress. We got to get back to the question. So our last question comes from, we surveyed women before we created this podcast to see, what did they need support with? And the thing that came up the most was accountability. So we're all like super women these days, doing everything you can possibly imagine. How do you get it all done? So how do you create accountability in your life, Saskia?
Yeah, so I was actually terrible at getting an accountability buddy or person or finding a support system, because I was that person. I was like, I've got it all figured it out. I'm good. Don't need anyone. And I realized like you get burnt out. Like at least I got burnt out. I was overwhelmed, or sometimes I get behind on things. Or I forget things. So I've created like things that I do by myself is like alarms. My calendar and my alarms are like my best friends. Everything is in my calendar so that I don't forget. But also the program coach that I'm doing right now for accomplishment coaching, we have as like a leadership team calls, like at least 4 calls a week, right? And part of that is like keeping each other accountable for like whether it's our client game or life or things that we say we're up to. And so that really supports, because it's very like kind of like rigorous, like, okay, you didn't get it done. What's in the way and how can we support you? So I think I've really discovered like having a support system like outside of what I do sometimes is so beneficial. And even learning to include my family in certain things so that they're also aware of what I'm up to as like an extra accountability. Because I notice like when I say it, it's like, okay, now I have to do it in a way because like people are going to ask me about it. So sometimes I'll do that just to have that extra accountability because I know myself to just not say anything. That way, I can either procrastinate it or like rearrange it or do it at a different time. So yeah.
No, and I love that you bring that up because like historically, the labels that I've worn are strong, independent, and like, I don't need anybody. I got this. And yes, I can. Mm-hmm. And the world's a better place when we work together and accomplish, and it makes it easier if you have support, even if it's just cheerleading. Yes, you got this, get it done. Mm-hmm. It makes it easier when you got someone to remind you, hey, did you? No, I didn't. I guess I'll get on it now.
Yeah.
But it is really, it is a little difficult when you come from that space of, my mom even told me, you were independent from the moment you left the womb. And I walked around like that for a whole lot of years till I finally learned it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to, get other people's support. Like that doesn't make me weak. That doesn't make me, dependent or whatever other label I want to put on that. So
yeah.
And I love that you're getting that lesson at a young age, because it took me much longer to figure that out.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it takes actually more courage for me to ask for support and vulnerability than it does to just hold back, right? It's so much easier for me to not tell people what I'm up to than it is for me to tell them. Because then what if I fail? What if I don't do it? Right? Kind of like what you were saying. So, but also I think one thing I realized, especially with the book, was at first I started doing it alone. It was like an alone process. Then I got a book coach and there was someone to celebrate with at the end when I finished it. Right? Like versus if I do it alone, like, yes, I'll do it and I'll push through. But then at the end, it's like, there was no one in the process with me. But when there's someone at the end of it that was in the process, that saw the entire journey, then it's like, there's that person to celebrate with you as well, or those people. So I think there's that other aspect of like support brings connection versus like the loneliness of doing it all yourself.
Yeah. And especially in these days right now with everything that's been going on, connection is so important. Yeah. And, like we talk about as humans that, we need air, we need water, we need food, but we also need connection. Like we cannot, there's been enough research studies on, babies that are orphans and what happens to them developmentally when they don't have that human connection. And it is a required element to our survival. And so it just makes sense that creating connection in everything that we do is going to make it thrive better. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
I agree. I'm right there with you.
Oh, are we at takeaway time?
We are. Believe that.
Are you ready with your takeaway, Alex?
I am actually ready with my takeaway, because I'm just going to kind of tag along on to what you guys were just talking about. Actually listening to Saskia talk about telling family, like letting everyone in on what you're doing or what you want to do. I grew up, I'm the youngest of 3 girls, all pretty competitive individuals, perfectionist, personalities and all that stuff. And my parents got divorced when I was 13. And my mom was just really, what's the word I'm looking for? She was really changed by her divorce in a lot of ways. And one of the ways was becoming this like strong, independent women. I'm going to raise these strong, independent girls. And so I kind of got this mindset of, I don't need anybody's help. I can do this on my own, because when you ask for people's help, they always let you down. Because that's kind of what I had kind of learned from what I went through with my parents and watching my mom. And so it was really hard for me to ask for help. And I'm still really, my husband, he's standing in the other room probably going, yep, she's really bad at it. And I've gotten a lot better at it, but I like what you said about the accountability factor. So like for me, I have Julietta as a great accountability partner. I bounce ideas off of her. I get support. I get advice from her. I have a coach that I've worked with, a couple coaches actually that I've worked with over the years. I have a close group of girlfriends that I rely on. And then for some reason, I don't share a lot with my family. And I think it's because I have all these like memories of everyone has to be so perfect and do, you got to just be independent and do it on your own. And you know what? Forget that. I'm throwing that out the window. I'm going to start sharing with my sisters what I'm doing. And because truly, like my sisters and I, we get along great, but they have no idea they didn't even know I was starting a podcast until we were like into like the 40th episode. Because I never even told them, because that's not something we've ever done with each other. Because if you failed or it didn't work out or something, then you like had this whole like yuck feeling because you didn't make it happen and you had to be perfect. So yeah.
I think that I can relate to what you're saying, and probably I still don't share a ton with my brother. Mm-hmm. But a lot of this stuff, like in the past, I might not necessarily have shared it with my dad. And he's also done some transformational training work as well. Mm-hmm. And since then, like the lines of communication have just like opened up so much more. But now, like, I know he'll probably watch this podcast. Hi, Dad.
He's so good. He supports all of our stuff. I love him.
Uh-huh. And I think in the past, like I would have worried like, ooh, I can't tell him about this podcast until it's successful or something. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, it don't matter. He's going to support me no matter what. Mm-hmm. And, we make up these stories about how it's going to be when it's just a made up story. It's not real. And so share away. And like, it'll be interesting too, to see like, once you start sharing with them, what then they start sharing with you.
So, yeah. And so I kind of have started sharing a little bit recently. And it's interesting because I was with my one sister when I was just in Texas. She lives where my daughter happens to go to college. And she actually did share some stuff with me, which was kind of like a huge thing for us because that's not usually where we would go. Sorry. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I totally relate to that too, because I think I've started practicing sharing with my family of what I'm up to when I moved here, since they live here. So then there was a lot more of like, I kind of had to tell them what I was up to because I was in their space more. And also, like for me, when I was writing, right, some days it was like, I need my peace completely. So like, you won't hear from me for like the next 4 hours, right? So I was like, support is don't call me, don't text me. Like I started to redefine what that looked like. And like you're saying, like, it's so interesting to see like how they start to be like, hey, do you need food in the meantime? Like, do you need, like having them start showing up in a different way. Like it created a new possibility for like a relationship, kind of like you mentioned with your sister, Allison. So it's scary, but it's also like really cool to see what can come out of it when you like lean into it.
For sure.
What's your takeaway, Julietta?
No, my takeaway was like, I already spoke a lot about it, so I don't need to speak too much more, but I'm super excited that I'm going to journal this trip to Egypt.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so Saskia bringing that up as her self-love practice, and it is a form of self-love. But it also, like I love to travel, and going to Egypt it's more than just the physical travel and the touristic travel, the energy that's over there, the history that's over there. It just makes it really an easy place to dive in super deep and connect with the all. And while I did that amazingly the first time I went over there, I think me being there ready to document it is going to create an even greater energetic connection for more to flow through. So stay tuned for what I bring back from Egypt in 2021.
I'm excited to see. Please post on Facebook, share with us.
I will, for sure. So Saskia, what is your takeaway from this podcast?
I think when you spoke about big magic, and so Allison shared, the just do it, and then you hit on the creation piece. I think I can relate to that a lot, because I always had this thing of I'm not a typical artist, right? I dance and I write, but I don't really paint, or I'm not good at these other things. So I didn't really see that creation side, but this idea of we all have this creativity inside of us that can look a million different ways, but tapping into it, I almost see it as tapping into that inner child that has that wild imagination, right? I see it as tapping back into that to then create whatever it is you want, whether it's relationships, business, life, career, but tapping back into that imagination is what I got from it. And now I'm I want to explore that creativity more, because I think a lot of times I tend to stray away not that creative.
So something, and it's funny that you're talking about this, and this is on top of my papers on my desk here, because someone accidentally spilt water on my desk yesterday, and so I had to move everything around. And so this paper was on top, and I'm pretty sure I wrote this quote down from Big Magic, but the question was, what is creativity? And it is the relationship between a human being and the mysteries of inspiration. And you don't have to be good at it.
I love that.
Yeah. So now I know why they spilt water on my desk yesterday. And it didn't get washed away, because I'm also looking at some other papers down here that I'm going, I hope I didn't need whatever message was on that paper. Gone now. Anyway, this was a super fun show. Thank you so much, Saskia, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, guys. It was so great to get to connect and to meet you, Allison, because I've met Julieta before, but first time meeting you. So it was really cool to get to meet you too.
It's been awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you to all our listeners out there. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, please subscribe, follow, like, and share us with other goddesses. If you want to get in touch with Saskia, Allison, or myself, you can find all our information in the show notes or in the comments below. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, you can go to our website, votgpodcast.com. And we have a form on there that you can fill out to request to be a guest on our show. We'd love to have you. And like we say, everybody has a message that someone out there needs to hear. And it might be the same message that I've been saying or that Allison's been saying, but you might have a different way of saying it that's just going to resonate in just the right way that someone out there needs to hear. So please join us. We would love to have you. And I think that's all. So I want to wish you all a very magical day.
Bye.